Ladies and gentlemen, when I saw this story, it really caught my eye. So, this came out just a few days ago. So, thousands of United Methodist churches in the U.S. quit the denomination. A quarter of U.S. congregations in the United Methodist Church have received permission to leave the denomination during a 5-year window, closing this month, that authorize departures for congregations over disputes involving the church's LGBTQ related policies. This year alone, 5,641 congregations received permission from their regional conferences to leave the denomination as of Thursday, according to an unofficial tabby by United Methodist News. A total of 7,658 have received permission since 2019. Thursday marked the last scheduled regional vote. According to the news service, and this is when the Texas Annual Conference authorized 4 congregation departures. The vast majority are conservative leaning churches responding to what they see as the United Methodist failure to enforce bans on same sex marriage and the ordaining of openly LGBTQ persons. So the ones that are leaving seem to be against LGBTQ. The new year is expected to bring more changes. The first denomination wide legislative gathering in 8 years, slated for spring of 2024, will consider calls to liberalize policies on marriage and ordination. So it will also debate rival proposals, either to decentralize the international church, which has at least as many members outside of the United States as in, or provide overseas congregation with the same exit option. And mm, So this definitely marks a historic shift in denomination that was until recently the third largest in the United States and perhaps the closest to the mainstream of American religion culture. It steeps prominent in rural crossroad and urban squares, scenes of countless potluck dinners and earnest social outreach and warm yet decorative worship. So many departing congregations have joined the more conservative global Methodist Church, with others joining smaller denominations, going independent, or still considering their options. So the church is splitting, y'all. They are splitting. Yeah, this is historic. You never seen it to this magnitude. So, United Methodist rules forbid same-sex marriage and rights, and ordain self-avow practicing homosexuals according to the church. So it says the US have increasingly been defying these rules. So I guess because they're more conservative leaning, they're not embracing that at all. So it has caused a major division in the United Methodist Church. Wow. So many have split, and many more will split in 2024. That's what they're anticipating. Oh, y'all, look at what's happening in these last days. The church is not on that solid foundation like they want us to believe. So they go on to say, we are sad about losing anybody, says the New York area bishop, Thomas Brickerton. And he's the president of the United Methodist Council of Bishops. There's also, at the end of the year, grief and trauma parishioners that have said goodbye to friends, pastors who had relationships over the years that have ended. He depicted the debates in the church as difficult and said some who urged churches to disaffiliate use falsehoods. This whole disaffiliation process, in large measure, has not been about human sexuality, but it's about power, control, and money. That's surprising and disappointed, Bickerton said. It's time for this denomination to pivot, to focus on mission rather than disaffiliation votes. The United Methodists reported having 30,543 United States churches as of 2019 and 6 million US members as of 2021. It had at least one church in 95% of the US counties, more than any other religious group, according to a 2020 religious census produced by the Association of Statisticians of American Religious Bodies. There's no immediate estimate on how many individual members are leaving the United Methodist Church. Some members are departing congregations and joining other churches. So they are in a major disarray, y'all. They are in a major disarray, you know, which means, in my opinion, they're in a very weakened state. And I think this is the beginning of what you're going to see happen to a lot of churches around the country as we continue to get towards the end. You're going to see a lot of divisions and the church itself falling apart. So now they're saying, yeah, congregation members are leaving and joining other churches. But the departing churches include some of the largest in their state. The United Methodist Church officials are already preparing historic budget cuts to denominational agencies in anticipation of lower revenue from fewer churches. They got so many members leaving, they're already saying they know it's going to be less revenue. Wow. All right. So the United Methodist Church also reports having 7 million members overseas as of 2019, the majority in Africa, where more conservatives, in the congregation are more common there. So in 2019, a special legislative gathering of Methodists voted to strengthen longstanding bans on, same sex marriage, LGBTQ pastors. The votes came from a coalition of conservatives in the US and overseas in a fast growing Africa churches. At the same time, that conference offered a 5-year window for US churches to leave under somewhat favorable terms, such as being able to keep their property while compensating the denomination for a certain cost. Mm-mm-mm. You know what broke the church, y'all? I'm going to tell you what broke it. Liberals. Liberals and introducing trends in the church. That's what broke it apart, you know? And just looking at this article, they already know, with all of these departures happening in the Methodist faith, they already know it's never going to be the same. That's why they're saying they're projecting much lower revenue in 2024, because there are just so many people that have left and they're never coming back to the Methodist Church. So the delegates will also considered the centralization plan favored by progressives, which, among other things, would enable U.S. and overseas church to set separate standards for, pastors and marriage. And another sought by conservatives, enabling overseas churches to leave under the same provisions that the U.S. church had. Well, mm-mm-mm. So it is. I didn't know this was even going on until now with all this stuff in the Methodist Church and the droves of people leaving. So they're also predicting many U.S. churches, despite missing the 2023 deadline, may try to exit under church law provisions. Well, if you got all these churches exiting, plus the people are exiting, you're not going to have much left. So, of course, people are just split. And it looks like whatever's going on seems to be pretty irreparable at this point. Uh huh. So, ladies and gentlemen, in my family, I had one uncle by marriage that was a Methodist pastor. And I mean, he's been dead for many years now, but he was the only one that I can think of in the family that was Methodist. So y'all tell me what you think. I think this is one of many churches that we're going to see split and have a lot of infighting, and people are going to just leave. But this is not unusual because I've done other stories talking about how people are leaving the Christian church, you know, and those folks never went back. Churches are not packed like they used to be. It might be some here and there, but for the most part, it seems like the pandemic took care of the churches. It really did, because it seems like it has not been the same from that point on. So, y'all, please tell me what you think. I think this is the sign of the times in these last days. This is one of many churches that will be falling apart as we move forward. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.